All right, we are live. Now we must wait for our viewing audience.
Okay.
For those of you that watch this post-upload, welcome. Very happy to have you here. Hope you get something from this. This is, you might want to turn that down. I'm getting a lot of,
okay.
I'm getting an echo.
Hold on a minute.
You won't turn it down?
Oh, let me mute it. There we go.
That works too.
That works too. Okay. There's too many moving parts.
Lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah, this one is definitely one that a message that I even had a hand in.
You did, which was nice because you're always making me think of everything. And make sure you put it on live chat. Remember?
Live is
Well,
live
remember
chats.
this right here? There was top chat, live chat.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's on live. We'll get this ball rolling around. Oh, one more minute.
1 more minute, friends.
Might give it an extra few minutes just so we can have.
Says there's 2 watching. Must be me and you.
Well, I'm not counted as a viewer.
Oh.
Only you are. Because I'm streaming from this.
Okay, we got somebody on. Okay, perfect. I was gonna say if anybody's on, please thanks for the thumbs up. Shut the front door.
Yeah, we'll give it a few extra minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, you did have a hand in this, and this was nice. It's good. I'm glad because you always make me think of everything. So it's kind of nice that
I that's something that we decided together
know.
because you like my raw answers.
I do. I don't like you to know what's going on.
Yeah, you don't make it sound like I just completely leave you in the back room.
Yeah, because this way I'm kind of surprised by your answers. Not really. No, I'm surprised.
I was going to say, you know, you're definitely you definitely have your shocked moments.
Yep, I do.
We're going to start in a few more minutes. For those of you watching, we're just waiting for a little bit more people to pop in. We did put out an announcement, not just from last week's episode, but on social media.
Mhm.
So we're being considerate.
Jeez.
Doesn't happen often.
Oh, please.
Just kidding.
All right. If anybody else is joining, please put something in the chat, even if it's just a hi, to let us know that you're here.
Yeah, definitely feel free to say something in the chat, or if you want to let your friends know, if you told anybody about us, to know that they're that we're up and live.
Yeah.
I'd say probably around another minute and a half.
Okay.
We'll start. Hope everybody that is watching, whether it's post or live, is having a good week and a good weekend so far. Mine's been pretty relaxed, personally.
Yeah, it's always busy. There's always something to do.
Oh yeah, there's always something to do.
Always, always.
Well, you know, another minute isn't really that long. I think we can get started now.
You think so?
Yeah. So like I said before people started joining, because I made a little message for the people who watch the live post upload. This episode is, or I should say this topic is something that I myself had a hand in, which I normally don't do, because you like my raw responses. But this one I felt I guess convicted would be the best word to describe how I felt with this one, because it's something that I've been seeing a lot more of recently, and I don't like it. Um, I don't know if it's, do you want me to introduce the episode, or do you want to do a normal introduction and just go from there like we normally do? Normal, obviously, this is more laid back, but
Well,
do you want to tell them what it's called?
yeah. So it's dealing with negativities and how to respond to them. So I guess the best way we could get started is, why don't you give us a little bit of intro of why this was something you wanted to do,
Okay.
or like what you're seeing that you wanted to address.
Yeah. Well, the biggest thing for me is, as a lot of the viewers probably have gauged from prior episodes, and of course you who know me personally, is that I don't deal with nonsense of any kind. I'm very upfront, to the point. If you've got something to say it to me. Or, I don't like people to think they can get away with everything. You know what I'm saying? If they're doing something wrong. And so for me, I've been seeing a lot of people being very sympathetic to, without trying to sound dramatic, I would have to say people just being sympathetic towards wickedness, if that makes sense. Like, a lot of people I've noticed have been like, well, I'll give you an example. So I have a friend who's been dealing with some stuff recently, and one of the biggest issues that he's been having is that the person who he's been a friend with this person for a long time. This isn't the same person I was talking about last time we did the live.
Okay.
Remember the girl
Yes.
that I was telling you about? This is somebody different. And the problem with him is he doesn't like confrontation on any kind of level, even if it's being directed towards him personally. And he's always making excuses for the mean things his friend is doing to him. And I'm starting to see how those negative things are starting to impact him.
Hmm.
And I keep telling him, why are you letting him walk all over you like that? And he tries to be understanding. He's like, well, maybe he's going through a hard time, or maybe he's, dealing with something very personal, just excuses after excuses. And I'm sitting here looking at this like, why would any of that matter based on how he's treating you?
Hmm.
And I see a lot of that. Like, we'll expand into more detail on like the social aspects of the world, and
Yeah.
how we as human beings, I think, are way too sympathetic towards the wrong things. Like, if we see something that's blatantly wrong,
Hmm.
and when I say, and I'll set up a standard for this, because I don't want you to think that when I say something is wrong, it's just wrong to me and not wrong to you. These are objective things
Hmm.
that I see, that just when you line them up with morality, you shouldn't be sympathetic to these things whatsoever.
Okay.
And we can expand more
Yep.
into that.
Yep.
But do you have anything?
Nope. I want you to keep going.
Well, you got to have a part in this.
Oh, I will. I will. You keep going. You're laying a good foundation. Questions are running through my head.
Wow. Feels like a reversed.
It does feel reversed,
It does feel very
and I'm
reversed.
okay with it.
What, you don't like to be put on the spot by my answers all the time? So I guess we can kind of go off of that with how friends treat friends.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with, having a friend who's going through a hard time
Hmm.
and them wanting space. I know we've talked about that in prior episodes. But when a friend starts treating another friend in a negative way because of how they're feeling,
Hmm.
I think that's where a line has to be drawn. And I'm that kind of person who does draw a line there.
Mhm.
because I've had friends do that to me. I've had friends snap at me with bad attitudes. And then when I snap back,
They don't like it.
they don't like it.
Right.
And I know you could say, well, why not be understanding towards that person? If you know they're going through a hard time, context is everything.
Mhm.
If you're having a bad day, in my opinion, you have two options. Either you can go off by yourself and kind of cool down, or you can be an adult and not treat your other friends like they're just an object. There
Okay.
is no other option. There is no other option. And I'm not going to sit here and claim that I'm um the perfect individual for this, because I'm preaching to myself on this too, so to speak. Um but the one thing that I try to pride myself in is humility. And if I know that I do something wrong, I make up for it in more than just an I'm sorry.
Okay.
Because to me, and anybody watching is more than welcome to give their input on this, whether it's in the live or post show. To me, a person who just says sorry and then moves on like nothing ever happened, that bothers me. It bothers me a lot,
Mhm.
because nobody should have a cop out. There shouldn't be a magic word. There shouldn't be this level of, oh, well, if I just say these few words, then everything's going to go back to normal. No, I do believe in accountability, 110%.
Mhm.
It's more than words, because if you rely on words, you're not holding the person that you wronged to the same standard that you hold yourself. If anything, you've probably lowered that person, because now you've convinced yourself that my sorry is more important than how you feel. It's the same thing with gaslighting. You know, if you gaslight somebody based on how they feel, like, I wish I could think of a very specific thing or something right off the top of my head, but I've been gaslit before, as I'm sure many of our viewers have. Um, to me, why put me on the spot? Like, a good example would be like if you asked me where I wanted to go eat for dinner,
Mhm.
and I said, I want to go to this restaurant.
Okay.
And then you say, what, you don't want to hear my choice? Or you wouldn't like to go here instead?
Mhm.
Why did you ask me then?
Right.
you know? Um, so, many examples of being gaslit. But to me, putting another person in a position where they feel that they have to make up for your mistakes, aka the I'm sorry, um, or doing even one thing that bothers me even more than that is somebody who does something wrong and they don't apologize, but they'll start doing nice things for you. You know what I mean?
Is it because they have a hard time saying sorry, so that's their way of being sorry?
Could be. It could be. And this is all going to tie together, so bear with me. But yeah, essentially, to me, somebody who can't genuinely acknowledge um, their position of an apology is somebody, I think, well, I'll just say it, they're a coward. They're a coward, because to me, an I'm sorry is not just I'm sorry I made you feel bad.
Mhm.
There's an accountability behind it too. So I'll use an example for clarification here.
Mhm.
Let's say I was nasty to you. I
'Kay.
did something that really, really upset you.
Mhm.
Regardless of how big or small it was, it clearly upset you.
Mhm.
Now, first of all, my approach is based off of how I view your opinions, how I view your feelings. It's a being humble towards how I approach you and how I view you as an individual.
Okay.
So if I made you upset about something,
Mhm.
I wouldn't just walk up to you and be like, I'm sorry for what I did. I'd be like, no, no, no. I'd walk up to you and say, Mom, what I did earlier was not appropriate.
Okay.
I upset you very badly. I could tell that what I did hurt you. I'm sorry for what I did, and I'm going to do something to make up for it. Not that the making up for it is going to compensate for what I did, but it's to show you that I truly am sorry, and I'm going to do my best to not let that thing happen again.
Okay.
Do you see how my words hold me accountable? Because it's not just an I'm sorry, now it's under the rug. It's an I'm sorry, I'm going to do something for you.
Okay.
So if I fail in that objective, regardless of what it is, even if it's something small like taking you out to eat, even if it's something small, it holds me accountable. Because if I fail on my promise, then that tells you that I really didn't care. And what I was doing was just to make myself feel better.
Okay.
So for me, holding your friends and family and the bad parts, I should say, holding the standard of accountability in those kind of relationships are incredibly important. And there is no middle ground for it. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
So unless there's something you want to add to the family aspect or the friend aspect, that's kind of where I'm going to lay my foundation for now. And then we can move on to maybe some more like social stuff. Yeah, no, shoot.
Okay. So what to you is more important, Brian, in that? Would it be the words or the actions or both?
Oh, both.
Okay.
Yeah, because when it comes to an apology and forgiveness, actions and words mean the same thing on different levels.
Okay.
Words show that you're holding your position to a high standard, and your actions show that you're willing to do something to enforce those words.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Well, they work together. You can't have one without the other, because on one hand, you have an apologist, or no, it's not. I don't know if that's the right word. I think an apologist is somebody who debates, isn't it?
I think so.
But when you
have an apology,
when you have an apology, you have somebody who's willing to just say "I'm sorry" and move on. And then with somebody who responds with just action, you're responding with, or you're, what is the word? I had it. When you have actions only, you're being a suck up. That's a good way to put it. You're a kiss up.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So so that's what I mean.
Right.
When I say actions are supposed to work together. Actions and words are supposed to work together, rather.
Right. Right. Hi, friends. I see some more coming in. Shut the front door. And Michelle, hi. Glad you're joining us.
Welcome. If our podcast or this live has been up for about 18 and a half minutes, so when the live is done, you'll be able to view the first half if you don't know what's going on. But
I don't even know what's going on. I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. I do.
To just fill in, we're talking about say the name of the title.
Dealing with negativities.
Yeah, and that's something I had a hand in this week.
Yeah.
So
yay.
Dealing with negativities.
And the reason I asked you, Brian, is when you're dealing with negativities, if you were talking about saying sorry and whatnot, was I've heard a lot of people say that words are cheap. And I mean, yes and no. I agree and don't agree with that, because I think words are important. We've talked about that in our last podcast, how words are important, but your actions do have to back up your words. And I think that's kind of where you're going.
Context is important. Yes.
Yes, of course.
Words are powerful, but it's the conviction behind them.
Okay.
And the actions that build the foundation of what you say.
Okay. So you were dealing with that, I believe, on more of like just a broad definition, I guess we could say that. But what I want to ask you is, so with the world being what it is today, how do you respond to the negativity of worldviews?
You have anything to add to the family aspect, though?
Not yet,
Not yet. Oh,
but we will.
we're gathering.
We're gathering
We're
information.
gathering. All right. So as far as the world, is that what you want to know?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Where to begin? Well, I guess we can start with job-related instances. I have worked in customer service. I'm sure some of our viewers have as well. I know you work in a very customer rich environment. You
Mhm.
have to interact with people.
People.
I don't, at my current job, I don't much anymore. Thank goodness. Um, but working in customer service is a very good example. And I think the problem with customer service nowadays, it never used to be like this. I noticed a very big change back in the early 2020s.
Mhm.
And then as the years went on, it was getting worse.
Oh, yes.
People nowadays in certain work environments are treated like machines. Like you're just supposed to sit behind the counter and just agree with everything the customer says. And I don't think people realize that the person behind the counter is still a person. And the way that the working industry is constructed is we hold the customer to such a high level
Yep.
that if they're doing something wrong
They're
to
still
an employee,
they're still right.
they're still right. I experienced it. And this is what I mean when I say we've become complacent, because I mentioned that in other episodes, where we've become complacent with how things are instead of making active change.
Mhm.
So for me, I'm not saying if you have a rude customer, go off on them, right? But what I'm saying is that the people that are working,
Mhm.
the management or the bosses, they are so quick to side with the customer.
Mhm.
And I can give you an example. Back when I worked at a grocery store, when we lived further up north, this was a long time ago.
Mhm.
Um, there was a woman who came in, and she was holding a pack of cheese of all things, and she was upset. And when I say upset, I'm not talking like, man, it's a shame this isn't going on anymore. She was like actually angry. I think it was a higher end brand of cheese slices, and she was like, you guys had a sale on the," and I'm not gonna yell, but you could probably hear her from the other end of the store. It was that bad. And she was
Jeez.
like, you guys were running a sale on this cheese and it's not here anymore. And I was like, is it the cheese you're holding or just another brand? And she's like, it was another brand, but I want this one for the price that you had the one on sale on. And I was I was manager at the time, and I was standing next to my assistant manager who was at the register because I heard the yelling, so of course I came over, and that's when I got involved. But he he sided with her, even though she was like screaming at him.
Mhm.
And he was like, "Oh, okay, that's okay. We'll give you that one for the price that we had the one on sale on." And you could sit here and say it was just to get her out.
But it didn't teach her anything.
Where's the accountability and how you're treated? It's the interaction, right? Like I can give the same example in a minute, or the same scenario in a different way in a minute. So after he did that, and keep in mind, this was a higher end brand of sliced cheese. So this thing was like at the time around like maybe like $6.99 for the whole pack.
Mhm.
And I can't remember the credit, but it was quite a reduction in price. Now you could argue, why does it bother me? It's not my money I'm losing. No, it's not the money that matters.
Mhm.
Again, it's the interaction between two human beings that bother me. So after she left, I marched down to the dairy section to go find this supposed cheese that she was talking about. there was still some there on sale. So you know what she did? She wanted the more expensive cheese for less money.
Mm.
And I went back up and I took one up because I wanted to prove a point, not to be nasty, not to be mean. I just wanted to prove a point to my coworker. So I took up the cheaper cheese, the one that was on sale, and I showed it to him. I was like, the cheese she wanted was here.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, he responded the way that I was expecting. He was like, "It's fine. We just did that to get her out of here." And I'm sitting there. I didn't carry it on, but I was like, "You just let her get away with it."
Yeah.
And not the cheese. The cheese wasn't the problem. But I'm sitting here like, you literally just treated this 48-year-old woman like she was a 12-year-old at a candy store.
Mm-hmm.
If I was in charge of that situation, which I mean, technically I was, but I didn't have the authority to really
To do it.
It wasn't my customer,
Yeah.
because my coworker, even though he was the assistant manager, he could have done something too. But if it was up to me entirely, like if I was the front end manager,
Mm-hmm.
I would have been like, get out.
Right.
We're not serving you.
Mm-hmm.
And you could say, well, that's a bit excessive. Is it? What's more excessive, me telling a rude customer to get out of the store or just letting her yell in my face
Mm-hmm.
and saying much worse things? Like I'm not saying everything she said. But a different scenario that would have, or the same scenario, different approach would be, so I came here looking for some cheese, the one that's on sale, and I noticed you guys didn't have any more. Would it be okay
Right.
if I bought this one for the price of the cheese that's on sale? And if I were to look, which it was on sale, but if I was to look in the catalog that we had and seen that, yes, there we do have cheese that was on sale, there might not be anymore. Okay, I'll give you a credit on it.
Mm-hmm.
Have a nice evening.
Mm-hmm. So
Even if I would have gone out back and looked and like, oh, there is cheese here, I would have been like, oh, okay, she just wanted cheaper cheese.
So for you, it was the approach?
It was the approach. It's always the approach. And I agree with what was just said in chat, entitled. And that's the problem with the world. We've become complacent and generally entitled to how we treat other people, like we're owed something.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I have a very high level of respect for people in the workforce, no matter what you're doing. If you're working, you're putting work in.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying everybody. Obviously, there's exceptions to the rule. There are lazy people within the working industry, but I'm saying in general, most people that do their jobs are trying to do their jobs,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't make it right
Mm-hmm.
for a customer. To
Mm-hmm.
me, the customer is not always right. In fact, I would say more times than not, the customer is wrong. And I don't mean that in the sense of I don't agree with anything the customer says. No, approach is everything. I do treat people with dignity and respect. You approach me with respect, I'll approach you with respect. Then, matching energy, so to speak. But, we have the working industry as one foundation. I do have a bigger example, which could be probably, I don't want to use the word controversial, but definitely very strong opinionated, which we can get on. But you have anything you want to ask or add before I continue?
Well, and I do agree with you. And that was one thing that I enjoyed about having my own business is because I dealt with people like that, of course. And there was a lady that came in one day and she was kind of arguing with me about something. And she said, well, the customer's always right. And I said, well, they're not. And that's what I liked about being my own boss is that I could say that to people. And for me, not to say that there were any consequences, because then she's like, well, I just won't come back. And I said, well, thanks for making my day. I appreciate that. Because there was a lot of other people that would come to my business that I'm not going to deal with that, because at that point, Vernon, it's like what you said, right? Where's the respect on both sides?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
For you to treat other people like that, it has to be two-sided. It doesn't make it okay. Do you
Well,
see
like
where
I
I'm
said-
coming from?
Yeah, because like I said, employees are still human, and they're more than willing to work with you. You'd be surprised. I've worked in the customer service industry for 7 years before I got into my current position, 7 to 8 years. And there's probably people in chat who are on live who have probably worked in customer service longer than me. You'd be surprised how far we would be willing to go for people who treat us with respect.
Oh,
You may
yeah.
actually get more out of being nicer than you would be being nasty.
Right. Yeah.
You know? And again, I agree in chat. See, that's the thing. If I always am left out of these situations to where I don't have any control. How many times have I said to you, man, I wish I was there when that happened?
Yeah.
You know, and you know, in hindsight, maybe it's a good thing I wasn't. But again, the lack of accountability.
Yeah.
The lack of accountability is insane to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Both in everything, in like the previous topic of the family and friends situation, and customer service.
Mm-hmm. So
there's just no accountability in the world anymore.
Yeah.
This is why I don't like people getting away with things.
Yeah.
Whether it's a rude family member or a rude friend or rude customers. You know, why? Why allow them to get away with it?
Mm-hmm.
You could say, well, I don't like confrontation and I don't want to stir the pot. They're the ones stirring it first.
Right. Exactly.
They're the ones who knocked it off the table.
Yeah. Yep.
And you're going to sit here and tell me that I should just let it go?
Yeah. And that's why there is no accountability, because they've never been taught that, number one, you don't act like that. Number two, there are consequences to your actions. And they've obviously gotten away with this before. They wouldn't act like that.
And that's the thing. You notice that some of the meanest people that you'll come across are people that have never
been called on the carpet.
Never been called on the
anything.
carpet. And to me, that is only destructive to the person it's aimed at.
Yeah.
It is never destructive to them because they're getting exactly what they want.
What they want.
But they're hurting people around them.
Yeah.
And that's not okay.
Exactly.
And that is one topic that we're going to bring up in this conversation, is that it's okay to be defensive.
Yes.
It's okay to practice self-defense when it comes to feelings and emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you allow someone to trample all over you, regardless of who it is, and you don't give any consequences to those actions, you have given that person free rein to not only continue what they're doing, but to do it again later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So give us the other scenario, because I think you're heading.
The more intense one?
Yeah, because I think you're heading in the direction of where I want to really go with this.
I don't know. I don't think you see it coming. I don't think you see it coming.
Okay.
The example that I was going to give was how this, and I'm going to say this only referring to this country, the USA, for those of you who are watching abroad. Our justice system is terrible. It is absolutely terrible. And I'm not going to go on a tirade about things that have happened recently, but holy smoke, do people take it so easy on criminals. Actual criminals. I'm not talking about the guy that sells weed on the side of the road. I'm not talking about that guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about people who commit heinous crimes.
Mm-hmm.
And you can sit here, and I'd love to hear people's opinions in chat, again, whether it's live or post, but I cannot begin to tell you how, and I can say this because I have very close friends who have experienced being on the opposing room of a criminal.
Mm.
I know I haven't.
Right.
But I know how it affects people. And the justice system failed them. And this is why I want to really beat the point home that you have the right to defend yourself, defend your family, defend your possessions, and to seek justice to the highest standard that the person is being convicted for. If somebody shatters a window on your car, yeah, I want them punished, but I don't want them in prison for life.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
there's levels, obviously, but I've noticed that over the years, and I watch a lot of crime videos too, so not only do I have personal experiences through some very close friends of mine, but I also watch a lot of crime shows, watching people get like 10 years in prison for some pretty disgusting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting there like, if I was in that courtroom, are you kidding me right now?
Mm-hmm.
Again, there's just no accountability in the world.
Well, that's been missing for a long time.
It's getting worse.
Well, it is getting worse, but
it got worse when
Mm-hmm.
when a campaign seemed to have popped up, and I wish I wrote it down somewhere, and I have no idea where I left it. I tried looking for it earlier, but the Easy on Crime campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't there a time back in like the 80s and 90s when people were protesting against violence in prisons? I know that was a big thing at one point
Okay.
in our recent history, when there was like a lot of protests against how criminals are treated in the prison
Okay.
system.
Could be.
And to me, as soon as that happened, that's when we started treating prisoners like royalty.
Mm-hmm.
And what do I mean by royalty? Do you know what prisoners get?
Mm-hmm.
They have zero responsibility in our prisons. They can literally sleep 3 times a day if they want. They can eat 3 square meals a day rent-free at the expense of the taxpayer. They get a workout area.
Mm-hmm.
And they basically live jobless.
Mm-hmm.
I know stories of criminals who were in the prison system for a very long time. They get out and they'll commit a crime again just to go back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what I mean with the lack of accountability.
Do you think, Brian, it's because...
And I wish I was in a position of power, because I'd fix this stuff instantly, but there are solutions to the problem. But unfortunately, the powers that be are too concerned about being nice, when they should be holding the victims to a position where we are going to justify what happened to you. Again, it goes back to how customers treat employees, and how family members treat each other, and how friends treat friends. Consequences, ladies and gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
Living rent-free for 60 years in prison with 3 square meals a day, to me, is not a punishment.
Mm-hmm.
That's a free apartment. Mm-hmm. Now, I've had people argue with me that, well, yeah, but prison life's not easy. I know. I had a friend who was in prison. You know, he had to look over his shoulder every day. But at the same time, he shouldn't have even been in prison for as long as he was anyway. It always seems to be the people that shouldn't be in prison are the ones that are in, and the ones that are in are just living basically any way they want.
Mm-hmm.
There's no consequences.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be like me doing something terrible and then you just throwing me in my room for 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
And giving me food every few hours.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference?
Right.
Seriously, what is the difference? Now, I know every prison's different. I'm not saying it's a general, well, I'm making a general statement, but the lack of the lack of consequences in our world on any level terrifies me for the future of this country. Because we don't hold our friends to the standards that we should be holding them to. We sometimes don't respect our own family members because of the way they treat us. And the justice system is completely screwed.
Mhm.
And the overarching factor in all of this is consequences.
Mhm. So take it to a family and friends.
In what way?
Well, how do you
Like, give me an example.
Okay. So, like,
And
let's
give
just
me give me a like an actual hardcore example.
Okay. So say you have family or friends. Let's take it from a worldview situation. Not that they'll do anything to harm you or you harm them, but
Right.
like family or friends from a worldview standard. And let's say you have opposing um, political views.
Okay.
How do you talk to those people?
That's a good question.
Because
And
again, we're talking about dealing with negatives, right?
well, I guess it would depend on the approach. For me, I'm the kind of person that when I'm talking to somebody of opposing political views, I like to know what they're thinking first. I
Mm-hmm.
don't like to bombard with my thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a very big questions and answers kind of person. And for me, if I see somebody who knows or who believes differently than me, I want to know why. And
Mm-hmm.
I know we've talked about that in prior episodes.
Right.
I'm a very big, I'm a very, very big analyzer. I like to
Mm-hmm.
really nitpick everything. So for me, when I approach someone to have a political conversation, I want to know what they think first.
Mm-hmm.
And then in a respectable way, because I know some people do it very wrong, but in a respectable way, I like to pick apart things that they say.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of how I structure my debates, one topic at a time, 1 minute at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And then as we break down details, sometimes I change my mind, sometimes I don't,
Right.
you know? And I know we've talked about this in prior episodes is I'm not the kind of person who is steadfast in my ways and I believe what I believe. No, no, no. I'm always willing to change my mind. Always. Because nobody knows everything and there's always two sides to every story.
And then there's a truth.
The truth always reveals itself when you get down to the nitty-gritty. Again, which is why I like to nitpick,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
when having those kind of political discussions around the dinner table, I don't like to be like, well, you know what you believe is wrong, right? You know,
Right.
um, if I ever pause, it's because I'm reading comments.
That's good. Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Like, there's no the prison system just holds people in there, and then sometimes even lets them out without any kind of rehabilitation or anything of that nature. It's just, oh, you did a bad thing. Let's go throw you in a cell for 20 years and then
Yeah.
let you out.
Right. Right.
You haven't learned anything.
Exactly. And that's where I'm going with you about talking to people about differences like political views and whatnot. I think what's happened too, Brian, and I don't mean to cut in on what you were trying to explain there,
No,
but
you're
this
good.
is where I'm going with this. I think people have lost compassion. Does that make sense? And we've talked about this, that we can agree to disagree, but I think yes, there's accountability. Yes, there are consequences. But I think we've forgotten two things. We've forgot how to hold compassion towards other people. We've lost our own identity of who we are as individuals, and we've been talking about that a lot lately.
Yep.
About who we are, right? What we are. We got into that deep with our last podcast
one,
from
yeah.
last week. There's just so much missing. I don't know where we all went wrong, but man, it's messed things up.
We became selfish and complacent.
We've done ourselves no favors.
We live, and I'm going to be real with you.
Oh, God.
We live in the greatest part of human history. We have never had access to technology the way that we do. We have never had free reign where a person can get in a car and literally drive all the way across the country.
Mm-hmm.
There has never been a point in human history when that has been a thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, look at the early settlement of our country.
Right.
When people had to travel across country, That was a huge risk.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Back in the Wild West.
Look up the Trail of Tears. See how that worked out.
Exactly. And the way that we have squandered our potential honestly sickens me.
Oh, yeah.
And I've even talked to some of my friends about this, which is why I can't stand when I see my friends let situations beat them down so much, which is why I'm so big on encouragement. Because you have the means, the potential, the drive to do better, to be the person that you want yourself to be, but you just don't do it.
I know.
And I don't understand why.
I don't understand.
Like, I'm not saying like depression doesn't exist. Of course it does. You know, there's always things in life that throw us curveballs. Nobody has ever said life was going to be easy, but at the same time, a person who complains about their problems, to me, is a person who doesn't want to change them.
Right.
And then you have a person, going back on topic, you have a person who is getting beat down by somebody in their lives, and they don't hold that person to a standard of, you need to treat me with better respect, not because I deserve it, but because it's what I would do for you.
Yeah. And it's what Michelle just said in here. We've lost empathy for others. And I think we've lost ourselves in that empathy.
Exactly. And I agree with both comments that Michelle just said. The punishments for the crimes don't always fit, regardless of what, punishment. When I can say punishment for crime, it could be anything from the actual justice system to just a friend treating you badly.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's so
There's
broad.
no accountability. And I don't understand.
Oh, okay. Is it loss of value for life?
Yeah. Yeah. I would say that's a huge part of it. A lot of very nasty people in this world, who treat others lesser than human, lesser than themselves, have lost the value of what life is.
Well, then you've lost, if you can treat other people like that. And I'm not saying when there's an actual crime that there does, again, consequences, right? Things need to be taken care of. That's not what I'm talking about. But I think on a scale anyway, Brian, of just people being people, I think we've lost, like Michelle said, the empathy, but I think we've lost ourselves somewhere. And that's kind of the journey that I'm on right now. You know, as I'm trying to figure all this out is, you know, where's that balance? Because you yeah, do you understand what I'm trying to say? It's empathy. It's yeah, people don't believe in themselves. Where was all this lost? When did this happen? Why do people not care about each other? Why do people not care about themselves? Because how can you care about others if you don't even care about yourself? You can't, like we talked about before, Brian, you can't even have a conversation with anybody anymore without someone getting offended or upset, or maybe even doing something harmful to someone else because they don't agree. And like I said to you last week in our podcast, because we've been dealing with words and who we are. Remember, I asked you, who are we really? What are we? And I believe we're so much deeper than what we are. And people don't recognize that in themselves or in each other. We do not value life.
Yep.
When did that go wrong? Where did that go wrong? So you're talking about dealing with negativities. Well, yeah, that's all it is.
If you want my opinion, and I'm only basing this because I am a gamer. I'm online quite a bit, and I see how people talk to each other. And I started to notice a difference shortly, like right around 2022, 2023, is when I really started to notice a difference in how people treated each other. And I think it was the lockdown that did it.
Really? Can you explain a little bit more? I'm not saying you're wrong. I just want to know why you're saying that.
Because when people were all cooped up, people lost the value of life at that point. People lost what it meant to be.
You think they lost hope in humanity, like in themselves, in
That's probably part of it. And I'm not saying it's all of it. So I want to
Mhm.
make it clear. I'm not saying it was just that instance, because people have always been nasty to each other. But
yeah, but not to the degree it is now, I don't think.
no, not to
And
the
people don't even care about themselves much anymore.
something happened around
Something did.
something happened
Something went wrong.
around the early 2020s that really kind of changed the dynamic of what the view of fellow man was. It's like
Okay.
people during that time craved human attention so much
Mhm.
that they forgot what it was to be human.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying? Because
okay.
I notice it online, and I notice a little bit of it in real life. Like, people are just so inconsiderate. You know what I'm saying? Like, even driving down the road,
Oh, driving.
you could get somebody mad at you for, like, literally
Nothing.
no reason. And it's like, you realize that I'm just existing, right? Like you,
Like, I'm not here to mess your life up. I'm
ex
just trying to go to work.
exactly. I'm not, it's like I didn't wake up in the morning and say, "That guy in that white GMC." You know? Um,
Okay.
the value of life is just not there anymore.
So how do you get it back? So, because we're
Well, it
talking about.
starts with you,
Okay.
you know?
Yep. Thank
It
you.
starts with you. You have to reevaluate how you treat others, but you have to reevaluate on how you treat yourself.
You have to find value in yourself again. I think that's what needs to
Yourself
happen.
is what really matters, because like I've said in prior episodes, is how can you help others if you can't help yourself? Which is kind of like the way I am when it comes to people that I know who are like really in a, I don't want to call it a depressed state, but I'm sure you've had people that think of themselves as like worthless.
Sure.
I've gotten to a point where I can't be around that,
Oh, it
because no
wears on
matter,
you. It wears on
it
you.
wears on you. Yeah,
It
exactly.
does. It
And
does.
like for me, it's like no matter what I say to them,
Mm-hmm.
they can never get out of that rut. And maybe it's because they need a little bit more help than what I can give them, you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
but we need to get that self-doubt to disappear. But there's only so much an outside source can do.
Right. Because it is inside.
It's an internal thing.
It's an internal thing, but we all need to do that. So how do you get everybody on board? Like, I'm speaking for myself when I say this, and Brian, because we talk a lot. I'm on this journey myself, trying to figure out a lot of things. And we don't have time tonight to get into all of it. And we've been kind of touching on, our different podcasts. And last week was the start of it. And I told you as we go, I'll share more because I want to be that better person.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there are times that you are going to have to deal with negativity, right? And there's going to be times when you're going to have to deal with confrontation. And there are going to be times when you and your friend or your family member, you're going to talk about stuff and you're not going to agree, and it's going to be okay. But when is it just okay for that to be okay? And for people to just love each other again. And for you to be able to wake up in the morning and look in the mirror and say you love yourself. Okay, so you're telling me that you believe it around the lockdown is when everything went wrong. Well, when is it going to turn around and everything's just going to be right again? I don't know if I'm looking for an answer because I don't know if you can give me one, but
Well,
something has to change, friend, because we're sliding down a slippery slope.
Well, the first thing that needs to happen is we, as a collective, so to speak, of humans, need to start holding the wicked accountable, because there's only so much they're allowed to get away with.
That's true.
And when I say wicked, I'm not talking about like criminals. Because that was another topic when it came to the justice system. I'm talking about people who are just mean.
Mm-hmm.
We need to start holding people accountable and holding up morals that matter.
Yeah.
Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness.
Yeah.
American value, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
the right to life, the right to exist.
Mm-hmm.
We've lost that. I've heard people say very disgusting things to each other who get mad over the smallest things.
Yeah.
And to me, I don't look at that as, wow, you are just a terrible human being. I look at them and I say, you really need some consequences for that. Like, there needs to be something that happens to you to get your head straightened on right.
Mm-hmm.
Actual consequences.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I can give a minimalistic example when it comes to like what we started with when I said how friends and family can treat each other, right? It's like when I have a friend who's nasty to me, I don't try to cater to his nastiness. I don't try to change how I am to make him feel better. I tell him, you better straighten up right now or I'm out of here. I'm going to make you feel alone like you desperately don't want to be.
Mm-hmm.
I'll leave. I'll walk out the door
Right.
because I ain't letting anybody talk to me like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, and you wouldn't talk to them that way. It's a two-sided respect issue.
I do. I am a very strong advocate for matching energy.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if you treat me with respect, I'll treat you with respect.
Mm-hmm.
If you treat me like dirt, then I'm going to treat you like dirt.
Mm-hmm.
And some people probably don't like that approach because a lot of people don't like confrontation. But I think that's the problem with the complacency and the lack of accountability is we have inadvertently stripped ourselves of responsibility
Wow.
because I'm responsible for self-preservation, right? It's my responsibility to make sure that my well-being is intact, whether it's mentally, physically, emotionally, so on and so forth. So if I let somebody destroy who I am through their actions, then how am I doing myself or them any favors by
I was gonna
letting them
say,
continue?
it's not just affecting you, it's affecting them too. It's not helping you, it's not helping them either. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that's exactly it. We've lost value, but good people still exist. And I believe there are more good people than bad people. The
Mhm.
problem is because of the complacency that we've had in the world, we have allowed the bad people to have a louder voice.
Yeah.
We're too afraid to get involved.
Why?
Responsibility. We don't want the accountability.
But we're destroying ourselves without it.
It's exactly it. It'd be like, it's probably a very extreme example, but I'm sure my point will go across. It would be like if you were so afraid to defend your home from somebody who kept breaking in and stealing every new TV you bought, right? Instead of confronting the problem, you're just going to go hide in the back room while they continue to benefit from your misfortune. But you're not doing that guy any favors either, because eventually he's going to get caught.
And he's going to go to jail.
Yeah. And he's just going to have more charges. Instead of it would have been, let's confront the problem now. That way you're just going to go to jail for, one theft. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But now you're going to probably be in jail for a lot longer because you've stolen 25 TVs that I didn't want to do anything about.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? The longer we let bad things continue, the worse they're going to get. People will continue to push their limits because they think it's all about me.
Okay, so it's not just the degradation of society, but the degradation of people.
Degradation.
Of self. So
Mhm.
how do you get that back for self, Brian? Is it taking time to look at yourself from an inner point of view, I guess?
Well, it always starts with you when it comes to how you want to handle things that happen to you personally, right? Family, friends, even dangerous situations. How you react to that is how you determine your own value and how you value the individual on the other end of the table. Because you can either let them sit there and continue to misfortune you, and then eventually it's going to make you think, not only will I not do anything, but I can't do anything.
But when I say look at yourself, it can be a moral standard and say, this is the right thing to do, this is the wrong thing to do, but what makes the person do the right or wrong? It's an inner thing. It's do you know what I'm saying? Like, morals aren't just on the outside showing people what to do, what's right and wrong, but somewhere inside of you, there has to be something that makes you do the right or wrong. That's what I'm saying.
And that's all in the standard of the individual. I can't tell a person how to react, right? If somebody is treating you poorly, I encourage you to defend yourself or protect yourself or whatever the case may be. But I can't force a person to do that because everybody is obviously in a different mental state, I guess, when it comes to how to deal with emotions and things like that. But to me, it's like sometimes you have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations, because if you don't, not only will it prevent you from handling the next situation differently, which could potentially be a worse situation, or it'll just allow the individual that's hurting you to continue hurting you. I encourage people, to think of themselves in a better position where you are, I don't want to use the word worthy, but deserving of respect, of self-integrity,
there you go,
of self-respect, to build yourself up first. Then you can respond to bad situations better, because then you realize that I don't want to be treated this way, and I really don't want to treat this person this way, but something has to break, and it ain't going to be me.
Is it a fear factor of why people choose not to do those things, like confront those issues?
It could be. It could be fear.
Okay.
I do know a lot of people who come to me with problems with other individuals who know how they should react, but they won't, because they either want to continue to give the other person the benefit of the doubt, aka complacency. That's really what I hear. I'm just okay with how they treat me, or they're too afraid to confront the problems because they're afraid of where it might lead. Whether it's them losing a friendship, or even worst case, losing a family member.
What are you talking about? It's not leading anywhere right now anyway.
That's what I say. You're just spinning wheels at that point. You're just coming up with excuses to stay where you are, essentially. That's my viewpoint on it.
Right.
But yeah, that's where change comes from, is with you first. And it's upholding the value of yourself, not in a selfish way, not in an entitled way, in a way that makes you say, I deserve it because I treat others with respect. I hold people to a very high standard. So why would I allow a person to treat me worse than how I would treat others?
Right.
Treating others the way you want to be treated can go both ways.
Right. But I think I
don't mean to cut you off.
No, it's fine.
Because I've heard people use that example where they'll say, you got to treat others the way you want to be treated. When somebody's being nasty to me, like somebody will say that to me, you got to treat others the way you want to be treated. And I'm sitting there like, I can continue to be nice to this person all I want, but that's not going to change his behavior.
Right.
Treating others the way you want to be treated goes both ways.
Yep.
I'll be nice to you if you're nice to me, but if you're mean to me, I'll be mean to you. Not because I want to, but because you're not giving me the respect that is just, again, I don't want to use the word like worthy of or expected, but people need to learn to humble themselves.
Can you imagine what the world will look like if we all did the number of things we've talked about tonight? Like, number one, valued themselves. found themselves worthy, if people humbled themselves, treated others the way they wish they could be treated, could you imagine the world we could live in right now? But here's the thing, Brian, I think it can happen. Like you said, you believe that there's more good people out there than bad. I think it's just a matter of something changing, but I don't know what that is. I mean, maybe you have to find yourself on that self journey.
Could be. It's different for everybody. And I want you and the audience to keep in mind that I'm speaking in general terms. Because obviously, when it comes down to subjective analysis or anecdotal evidence, it's a case-by-case scenario. But I think the audience, everybody watching this podcast, can watch, how the world is and definitely see there's a lot more mean people talking than there is nice people speaking out against it.
Mm.
Instead of working together, which is ultimately what we should be doing. We're all in the same boat. And tossing me overboard because you don't have enough room is not going to do anybody any favors.
Wow. That's true.
I'm just being real. Because for me, I'm tired of seeing the lack of accountability with how bad people are. I'm tired of seeing the pointing fingers and the name calling. I'm tired of it. I don't care which side of the fence you stand on, whether it's, family, friends, political. We just need to stop with the name calling. We need to stop with the disregard for humanity. I'm not saying become a hive mind. I'm just saying treat your fellow man with respect, regardless of whether or not you agree with how they're acting or how they're treating you or their ideas or viewpoints or whatever. This can go deep, but you see where I'm getting at.
I do. It can go very deep.
It can go deep. And I think that's the problem with the world. I think we're afraid to go deep. Because
Why?
we'd rather sit in our comfortable little bubbles and just expect the world to go the way we want it
No,
to.
the world's going to hell in a handbasket if we don't do something. The thing is, and that's the truth, we need to start going deep, Brian. That's the problem. And start being uncomfortable.
Mhm.
It's okay to be uncomfortable. Just rip the Band-Aid off.
Yep. It's like I said, I'd rather live an uncomfortable lie than a comfortable wait. I'd rather live with an uncomfortable truth than a comfortable lie.
Yes.
I had to make sure I said that right. But yeah.
I mean, it hurts when you're ripping the Band-Aid off.
It also hurts when you're wrong, but you know what? Eventually, you'll have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Because I would rather be wrong and change my ways than think I'm right and be angry all the time.
Yeah. I think it's...
And that can go, even back to family and friends. I can think the way that I treat a friend or a family member, I can think that my actions were justified, but at the end of the day, if I hurt my friend or family, I'm the one who's wrong. Because I only put myself in that consideration. Oh, what this family member did really angered me. Instead of just addressing the problem like a mature individual, you decided to yell and scream and sometimes even play the victim? Really?
Yeah, it doesn't solve anything.
Of course it doesn't.
It just makes things worse.
It makes things, because it breaks trust, it breaks value, and it breaks yourself.
That's it. It always comes back to you.
Yep.
Always.
Yep. Negativity in general only destroys you and those around you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Exactly. Yep. And I just hope.
And see, I agree, Michelle, with what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, people are when it comes to the social media aspect of it, people are obviously entitled to say whatever they want, right? when it comes to labeling, when it comes to addressing issues that may or may not be there in the wrong way, when it comes to fear mongering, those things are dangerous because they can paint anybody out to be the villain. When instead, like, trying to think of an example. If I wanted to say that watermelons were purple, you and I both know they're not.
Right.
But me saying that just makes me wrong, but it doesn't make me a bad guy, right?
Right.
But if I said, I think watermelons are purple, and anybody who has a red watermelon should have the watermelon destroyed, well, now that's a call to action, isn't it? All of a sudden, I've put some kind of a label on anybody who has a red watermelon, and I'm referring to like the inside of it.
Right. Right.
But do you see how there's a difference between just stating an opinion versus a call to action? That's where the line needs to be drawn. It's when labeling leads to a call to action. You can say whatever you want. You're just wrong. But once you start labeling and putting a target, that's where the problem is.
Yeah.
And it's on all sides of the social media perspective. We can sit here for probably hours and talk about it, but I'm not trying to call out anybody specifically, because if you ever say something, regardless of what topic it is, whether it's friends, family, politics, whatever, if you say or do something that has an implication of a call to action that can cause harm toward another human being, you're instantly the bad guy. You know what I'm saying? And that's where I think that self-examination needs to happen.
Come in.
Because again, there's nothing wrong with being wrong. But it's when your wrong ideas turn to a call to action that can lead to something far worse than you anticipated.
Right.
Because I don't want violence on anybody.
No.
I don't care what your viewpoint is. As long as you're not harming anybody, you can believe whatever you want. You can go ahead and believe that watermelon's purple.
Right. Right.
Yep.
Exactly. I think people just, like Michelle said, most people want drama instead of happiness.
Ain't that the truth? Which is ironic, because a lot of people that want the drama are the people that really don't want it, or say they don't. And I would know because I see it all the time. People are like, "Oh, I hate drama," and yet they're always the ones starting
living it. It's true. It's true. I don't know, Brian. I just think at the end of the day, I think people need to look deep inside themselves and figure out what kind of energy they want to give off.
That's what it is.
What kind of energy do you want to give off?
It's like the example I gave at the beginning of this video with that lady who had that cheese, who was being nasty. All about the approach. She could have been, and she was, but she could have been 100% wrong in everything she was saying. But if she had just approached differently, I would have been more empathetic.
Yeah.
Your approach is everything, regardless of what situation it is. Base it off of every topic we talked about tonight, or just any examples that you yourself can think of. Your approach matters, and the approach of others matters too.
Yes.
And the approach of others will determine how you should approach it. Because again, like I said earlier, there is nothing wrong with defending yourself emotionally, mentally, physically,
whatever. Right.
But when you start holding people to a standard of, well, the customer's always right, you're only hurting yourself saying that.
So I think to kind of wrap what we've said tonight is there needs to be more accountability. People need to be more aware.
There needs to be more accountability, and there needs to be more of an acceptance of expecting responsibility.
And be responsible for your energy.
Well, that's what I mean when I
Yeah.
say the acceptance of responsibility is knowing that you contribute as much as the person on the other side of the counter.
Mhm.
Your approach matters.
Mhm.
Both sides.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I always encourage people, don't let life destroy you. Don't let the opinions and voices and ways people treat you affect you. Because at the end of the day, the most important person in your life is yourself. And if you surround yourself with negativity, whether it's even if it's something you agree with, there have been times where I have heard things that I'm like, well, they're not necessarily wrong, but I don't like the way they're saying it. I have to separate myself from the hostility of it. Because at the end of the day, the only thing it's going to do is make me hostile, and that's not what I want. I want to be able to approach people with the respect and dignity that I would want for myself. So, what right do I have to be nasty to the person sitting next to me who's just as human as I am? Because he might think watermelons are purple.
Right. And I think it's because at the end of the day, you feel that way, Brian. And I think most, if not all humans, if they had to stop for a minute, they all feel that way. Because I think deep down, somewhere in there, inherently, we all want the good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And not to say that evil doesn't exist. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
But I think the good people that you mentioned that there are still good people. I think inherently somewhere deep down, people still want to be good people. But
the vast majority,
maybe,
I would say yes.
Maybe
there are people in this world who are more than content with being wicked. And I think that's something that needs to be handled on a personal level. And when I say that, I mean, like, I know of people who are genuinely terrible human beings. And I look at them and I'm like, you're a person who has never had anything bad happen to you. And when I say that, I'm referring to consequences. Like, they've gotten away with everything that they've done. And that goes into the accountability thing. Like family members family and friends who think they can just say whatever they want and actually think they can get away with it.
Mm-hmm.
But what's worse, a friend or a family member saying something hurtful to you, or you just letting them?
Yeah. I don't know. I think deep down, people just need to step back and reevaluate.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's time for reevaluation. We talk a lot about change, right? Because that's part of our podcast.
Yep.
Well, maybe that's what, we've had how many years now of this crap going on. Maybe it's time to reverse this and people just, yes, take accountability, but maybe take a deeper look. Dive deep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. People need, I think it's for, let me put it like this. And I don't know if you want to wrap things up soon, but I can say this. For everybody who watched this podcast, or this live stream, whether it was live or post show after it was uploaded, I want everybody to just examine yourself. Just see how you've treated people recently, whether it was good or bad, and see, is what I did what I would have expected? And if it is or it isn't, really take the time to just say, do I need to be the person who changes? Do I need to be the person who can do better? Do I need to be the person who can essentially be the light in the dark?
That's good.
Because at the end of the day, if you can't, I guess the best way I could say it is self-humbling.
Yeah.
Put yourself in a position where you like, I put my pants on the same way as everybody else in the morning.
Mhm.
I'm no better than anybody else, but my life matters. Their lives matter. And even if we 100% disagree, whether it's a simple argument or if it's something, extreme, examine how you would treat that person or how you expect it, because how you react can either make or break you.
Mhm.
So don't be afraid to take the responsibility and accept
Mhm.
that there may need to be accountability,
Yeah.
whether it's for them or you, because you're only responsible for yourself.
Mhm. Yeah. Deep dive.
Deep dive.
Yeah, because your energy does matter. Everybody does. So I'm good. If you want to
Do you think
wrap,
we are done?
I think we're good. I mean, unless you got anything to add, I think that was really good.
I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Well, I just want to say, for those of you that joined us live, thank you so much for watching. We're very happy you showed up. Apologies if it was a little intense at times. We look forward to doing more lives in the future, so keep an eye out. This coming next weekend
Mhm.
is going to be a normal episode, and then we'll probably do another live that next week.
Yeah. That's the plan.
If anyone has any comments, feel free to shoot us an email.
Yeah.
I'll let you do our outro, actually.
Yeah. So again, I just want to leave you with what we always leave you with is believe in yourself, be patient with yourself, know that your best is always good enough, and do some deep dives. I've been doing that lately with myself, just kind of taking some inner look at myself from a different perspective. And it's opening up a lot of things. Questions, yes, but that's good. Know that we can be found on many different platforms like YouTube, Spotify, and Apple and X. Please like, share, subscribe, turn on notifications, email us at giveemheck@gmail.com. And yeah, I think that's it for tonight.
Want to make one more quick announcement.
Okay.
For those of you that may not have seen it last week or the last time we did a live, but our lives are only going to be on YouTube.
YouTube. Mm-hmm.
So feel free to look at our channel and look at our live tab to watch lives after they've been uploaded. And feel free to share it with your friends if you think you know anybody who needed to hear something this intense. But yes, thank you so much for joining in, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye.
Good night.